Good afternoon, fam. Good afternoon. Hope all is well with everybody. Hope all is well with everybody. Listen, I want to jump on live real quick, right? Because I've been meeting quite a lot of people who are parking their money in CDs. And when I mean money, I mean let's say like a lump sum of money. And I'm talking to them about annuities, and surprisingly, a lot of people they've heard about annuities, but they don't really know too much as to how annuities work. Okay. Now, here's the thing: CDs feel safe because people feel as though like, hey, if they put the money in the bank, then it's safe, right? But the question is, are they the best for your retirement dollars, right? So tonight we'll compare CDs versus annuities on rates, taxes, bonuses, and I think the best part about it all is lifetime income stream. And I'm gonna go over, each product and kind of like what they cover, right? Um, and just like a quick framework is really what is really so what I'm gonna do today. But real quickly, if this is your first time, seeing me, or if you're not currently subscribed, to my channel, please, after this is over, hit the like button, subscribe. And also, if what you hear today, if it makes sense to you, if you are interested in going over some options, right? I've been around now for 16 years. My name is Maxwell Akinsenwa, and I focus more so on life insurance and retirement using different vehicles, right? So if you are interested in learning more after we're done today, just text me in the chat. I'm interested, or text. This is my direct number, 443-208-5480. That's 443-208-5480. That phone is with me at all times. And just text me, let me know you're interested, and then we can set up a time, that we can have a one-on-one. Also, too, people like emails. Okay, so you can also email me at evolve at titanevolutiongroup.com. That's evolve at titanevolutiongroup.com. As a matter of fact, let me just take a moment out here and just type my phone number here, or my email. I'm sorry, email uh, evolve at titanevolutiongroup.com. Perfect. Right. So if you guys want to reach me, you guys can reach me, that way, or again, my cell phone number. Now, what CDs and what is a CD and what is an annuity, right? So I'm just going to go over that real quickly, right? So pretty much a CD is a bank deposit with a fixed rate, is really what it is, right? And so you might have a 6 month CD, you might have a 3 month CD, you might have a 1 year CD, or you might have like a 5 year CD, right? And then an annuity is pretty much a contract with the insurance company, okay? And the so the benefit with a CD is the taxes, okay, compared to a CD where every year, when if you make money in that CD, you're gonna pay taxes every single year, and we're gonna go over that, in a little bit. So pretty much an annuity is pretty much an insurance contract that's tax deferred, and also it gives you the option of having a guaranteed lifetime income. And I think that's one of the best thing about an annuity that a CD, does not cover, right? What I want to go over with you guys right now, real quickly, is the current rate reality. okay, for a CD, right? And I'm gonna break down some stuff with you guys real quickly. So a 12-month CD, and this is a national average, obviously. So some CDs it may be 4%. I don't think I've seen anything that's above 5%, but I know for sure there's nothing above 6%. I know that. So, but on the average, a 12-month CD national rate is about 1.68. Okay, that's the national average for most CDs, right? Now, top CDs again, like I said, maybe around 4% or 4.25%. Okay, now our average annuity is going to be around 5.4 to 6%. Depends on the length of the annuity contract, whether it's 7 years or 10 years. There are some 5 years annuities, but most people, if they want to get the bang for their buck, they usually do a 10-year annuity. Now, some people might say, "Oh my God, I don't want my money to be locked up for that long." Well, most annuities that I know of, even though it's a 10-year annuity, especially when you reach that age of 59 and a half, you actually have access to 10%, of your funds every single year. After the first year, you understand. So, and I think that's the misconception that people get with annuity. Oh, once I give them my money, then I can't touch it for like years upon years. That's not necessarily true. It depends on the kind of annuity, you understand, that you purchase, right? Um, you know, let me go over some. So I personally love numbers because numbers tell stories. Okay. Um, and again, a lot of people don't know that when they put money away in CDs, they they're doing a good thing because they're saving money and the money is out of hand, but they're also hurting themselves because they're actually losing money because the rates are so low. Then you factor in inflation. You understand? So the value of your money is actually going down. So let me go all the way back to 2000. In 2000, for example, right, our annual and I'm looking at the bank rates here is what I'm looking at right here. The annualized average CD 6 month rate was 6.58. 6.58. When you factor in a 28% tax, and then you factor in inflation at 3.4%, you are actually only earning 1.34. Most people don't understand that. They're looking like they're looking at what the bank is giving them and say, "Oh yeah, hooray! I'm earning 6.58." But when you factor in taxes, and then when you factor in inflation, the true number that you're actually making is 1.34, right? Now, fast forward all the way now to, let's say, 2024, because this ends in 2024, because obviously 2025 is not over yet, right? In 2024, the annualized average CD 6 month rate is about 1.69. You factor in taxes at 22%. You factor in inflation at, let's say, 2.9%. You're actually negative 1.57. And you guys can actually pull this up online too. So this is not something that's made up. And most people that I've talked to, or that I've helped them move the money over, when I share this information with them, is when their eyes open, because a lot, obviously, I personally believe the school needs to start teaching finance, because a lot of people don't understand finance and how money works. But again, most people, when they are in CDs, and I'm looking like from 2000 all the way down to 2024, they're not truly gaining, because again, when you factor in taxes and inflation, like every column is a negative, is a negative, besides for 2008. Okay, even though in 2008 the CD was 3.14 on the average, you factor in 25%, and then supposedly here inflation was 0.01. So you're still kind of at a loss, but it's not as bad as the rest of the other years I'm looking at over here. So this is one of the reasons when I tell people whether you put your money in the bank, and I know some people who have like a boatload of money just sitting in the bank, and I believe it makes them feel safe, but they're actually losing a boatload of money every single year, right? So, for example, let's put it in plain numbers. Okay, let's put it in plain numbers. Let's say you have $100,000 in a 4.25% CD, and let's say the tax bracket is 24%. Okay, after tax growth rate, okay, we're not even factoring inflation. You're still only earning 3.25. So the bank tells you they're giving you 4.25. But if we just factor in just taxes alone and remove inflation, you're still under, you're about 3.25, 3.23 in interest that you've earned. So you're not, and then you factor in inflation, it's going to go down even lower. Now, let's say now you say, okay, you know what? I'm going to go ahead now and remember with a CD, you pay taxes every year, so you don't get the luxury of compound interest because every year you're getting a tax bill and you're paying that tax bill, so the value is going down and down and down. Instead of your money is being tax deferred, so your money is growing. You understand? So with a CD, same scenario. You take $100,000, right, and you put it in a fixed annuity. We never talking about an index annuity. We talking about just a regular basic fixed annuity, and you're getting 5.50 percent, right? The full 5.50 is compounded until distribution, and taxes comes out later. And at that time, potentially your income rate might be lower potentially. Okay. Now, obviously, I'm not a tax guy. So you got to talk to your tax advisors, okay? But in most cases, this is probably, what this is probably the reality. You understand? In most cases, okay. Now, outside of earnings, I think the most it's quite a few things that makes people who get into an annuity, and it's most of the time is usually retirees most of the time, but we do have some professionals who throw money into annuities. We do have people who sell properties or probably had like a major deal and don't want their money just sitting in the account and they want to invest. So it's not just older folks or retirees, but in most cases, the people that we see that get into annuities, they get into it for a couple of reasons. One, they will get a better rate than the bank. That's number one. Okay. Number two, their money will be safe. Okay. Number three, which a CD don't offer you, is bonuses. Okay. Now it is an option. Okay. And each carrier is different. And also each client is different. Okay. There's bonuses that go up to 23. I have carriers that I just wrote three the past month and a half alone. I've helped clients move money from their 401k and things like that. And they went the bonus route, and they got like, 23%, up to 23%, bonus money. Okay. A lot of people like that part of it because guess what? It could be plenty of reasons. It could be they lost money in the market and they want to recapture some of that loss. It could be that. It could be maybe they didn't save enough money and they want to, figure out a way to increase what they deposit in. I'm gonna give you guys an example, and I forget the actual number. One of the gentlemen who he chose the bonus direction. Let me give you an example of what. And it's one of my biggest cases so far this year. We rolled over $500,000, a little bit. It was like 515,000. Let me just put the actual number: 515,000 into an annuity, and then he got a 23% bonus, so that's times 23%. So immediately day one, 118,450 got added to his to what he deposited. You understand? And he loved that part of it. You understand? Because he did take some loss for the past 2 or 3 years and stuff like that. It wasn't 118,000, worth, but he got most of the stuff that he lost back and more with that bonus, side of it. So he was excited about that. Okay, so that's those are really the main key things that people like. But then there's the gravy on top. There's the gravy on top, which is the guaranteed income for life, which a CD cannot offer you. So I'm just going to take a quick minute and just briefly explain what that is, right? So you deposit $500,000, okay? You now have, let's say you go the bonus, route, for example, right? You now have 618,000, okay? And let's say you are 60. Let's say you're 60, and now you're taking income for retirement, right? In between those years, you may want to do extra stuff. You may want to, fix the roof. So you might take out a little bit more than you planned, whatever, right? Let's say 15 years later, from the date that you took out your first distribution, 15 years later, you've exhausted the funds, all your funds in there for some reason. Okay, you will still continue to get a check for the rest of your life. Is really a no-brainer. You understand? When because if you have 500 grand in a CD, they didn't give you a bonus. Every year you get a 1099 from the IRS for capital tax gain, and you gotta pay taxes on that. Okay, so your money is not compounding; you're actually losing. You factor in inflation, the value of your money is also going down at the same time. Okay, and then once you've exhausted your money, It's just gone. So most retirees, I think that is the one key thing that because every time I go over this with a person who's retiring, that is the one thing that they look at that their eyes just light up. Like, hold up. So you're saying that no matter what, I'll get income until I die? Yes. Yes. This is the only product that offers such a thing. No other product in America offers you a guaranteed income for the rest of your life. Okay. Now, so then why do most people do CDs? Most of the time, most people get into CDs because they don't know. Or let's say, for example, think about it. I remember the month that I had one of my biggest months, and I'm not going to name the amount that I did that month. And the money was just sitting in the account. Every time I went to the bank, they was trying to offer me a CD. Every time I went to the bank, they was trying to sit me down and have me do a CD. They didn't know what I did for a living. Just when I go in there to, let's say, make a deposit or put some money out or whatever like that, and they're looking like, hey, Mr. Maxwell, you got a few minutes? Can we, you understand? So in most cases, I think what it is most people, whether by way of, let's say, they came across some money by way of a property sale, or let's say somebody died and I have a client right now who her auntie died and left her 300K. She's a life insurance client. She's a young lady, but the money's just sitting in that account, and she's not sure what she wants to do with it yet. But we still kind of like going through that because she either want to pay her house off, which I think is a good idea. If she pays the house off, that leaves her with roughly 75 grand left. Okay, okay, or she want to fix some stuff around the house. So but I'm gearing her towards the annuity side because that money can potentially double for her in the next 10 years or so. Okay. But in her, what she wants to do is not paying the mortgage anymore. And listen, I cannot I cannot argue that part. Okay. So I'm gonna let her make that decision, right? But again, in most cases, it's usually the banks that's moving the people. Hey, you got this amount sitting here. Your savings account is only giving you 0.00 or something. We can give you a CD for 4%, 3%, whatever like that. And people say, "Oh my God, that's way more than my bank." And boom, and then that's how they end up in a CD. Also, some people do CDs because guess what? It's not a long term commitment, like 6 to 12 months. In most cases that people do CDs. So it is more liquid, what I'm saying, than an annuity, can be. Okay. Um, just a side note, with an annuity, there are surrender charges if you choose to surrender early. So, for example, I believe if you surrender within year one, it's like 10% charge. Yeah, and then every year it goes down, 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 all the way down to zero, where there's no longer surrender charge at all, and you can do what you want to do with it and stuff like that. So, that's one thing that some people say, oh well, I don't want to let my money up for like 5 years or 10 years or so or whatever, and that's fine. But again, like, I tell people, um, and again, I don't know well, maybe it's what they heard, because in most annuity, when you make a deposit, you just have to let it sit for at least a year, even though it's a 10-year annuity. It's better that you let it sit for 10 years, because that's how you build that massive, like this gentleman that did around June or July, the gentleman who wrote the $500,000. Okay. Right around the 10th or 11th year, I believe so he rolled over 500,000. They give him an additional 100 and something K. Okay. So that's about 618, somewhere around there. Okay. Right about year number 10 or 11, that 618 now goes to roughly around a million. Okay. But that's if he lets it sits and let it do what it's going to do and compound. But either way, the option is his. If he needs the money right away, like this gentleman again, he's a military guy, retired military, then he got into the government, so he got pension coming from everywhere, and he got some money, from I think he has a real estate property that he get rent from, whatever. Like, so he's straight. So he's like, I don't really need this anywhere, whatever, at least not right now. So everybody's different, So with his situation, he's not going to touch it no time soon. There are some people who have done annuity for, and by the second year, they take an income stream, and which is normal, because when you get an annuity and you of age, that's your income. That's what most people move a 401k into that to be able to pull income stream later and have safety, which means that if the market crash, I don't have to be panicking, in my older age. So I know my money's safe and guaranteed there. I know no matter what, I'm gonna get income for the rest of my life. I also have the opportunity that, hey, I can get some additional free money, up to 23%, if I choose to go that route. So there's different. So that's a key difference between a CD, and pretty much, an annuity. I think, to me, the only benefit, and I hope it don't sound like I'm biased, but I'm looking at the logic behind if I had to choose the two different product. Okay, one allow me to get my money, within 1 year or so. That's about it. But outside, and I guess it's safe. Okay, so both products now. So now we compare both products. Both products are safe. Okay, which means there's no market loss situation. Okay, now where the annuity start to zoom past the CD is everything else after that. Okay, you get a higher rate of return. Okay, you outpacing inflation. Okay, you don't pay taxes every single year on it, so your plan is tax deferred. Okay, so that's that aspect of it. And then again, you can go the bonus route if you want to. And then last but not least, even after I've used all my money, I'm getting a check until I die. Like, listen, If anybody is watching right now and you are in the chat, I want you to tell me any other vehicle that's out there that allows you that you put money in, and then after you've used all the money up, they still continue to pay you. Okay? If you can put that in the chat, let me know. But I've been around for 16, 17 years now in the industry. I've seen so many different annuity companies and stuff like that. And not one of them, I'm sorry, so many different CDs, so many different savings accounts, so many different, whatever. And I haven't seen anything that allow you to even and I sell a lot of life insurance, right? A lot of life insurance. If you exhaust your cash value, you no longer have a policy and no more money. And I'm a huge advocate of the cash value life insurance, the IUL and things like that, right? I am. Okay. So if as you know, you should have a massive amount of life insurance so that when you pass away, your family has that money. The annuity now is your money. You understand? The annuity is your play money. You understand? So, and I'm gonna touch on this for a second. And this is where sometimes I get irritated with the whole, Dave Ramsey rant and stuff like that in reference to a person shouldn't buy a cash value policy and you should only buy a term and invest the difference, right? And this is what I always tell, these Dave Ramsey fans. Okay, I buy term and I invest the difference. When my term run out, I no longer have insurance anymore, but I might still have mortgages. Okay, and what I invested, let's say it grew for me to $1 million, and let's say now I'm 60, right? And but so the question I ask is that $1 million that I invested and saved, is that money for me or is it for my family? Because remember, the term is no longer effective anymore. It's gone. I no longer have a policy anymore. Okay. All I have now is the liquid cash that I have. And then also on top of that, I may still have mortgages out there. So if I'm dipping into this million to live off of, and let's say, I'm not gonna say but let's say the person passed away at age 75, right? You're leaving your family with the balance of what you saved, but you still got the mortgages to take care of. So how much are you truly leaving your parent? And this is why I always tell people, hey, listen, you should always have a permanent policy, and then your annuity is truly your money. That's your retirement money. You're living off of that, and whatever. And then when you're no longer here, your family now can get the life insurance money to pay mortgages, take care of any burial situation or any debts that's left over, and still have some money left over for them. You understand? So this is my take on it, and I want to take a moment today because again, I'm meeting a lot of people who, and it's crazy because it's 2025, and people still keep their money like in the bank. And I guess I can understand it because a lot of people don't want to. I mean, especially if you experienced 2008. Okay, give me a second, guys. Especially if you experienced 2008, and I think at one point in 2008, I had in my 401k probably like 128,000, and then when the market crashed and there was laying off some folks, so I decided to leave the car industry in 2009. So between 2008 and 2009, I had 128,000, I believe, around that in 2008. When I decided to go get my money because I was going to leave the auto industry and get into insurance, I had lost almost 30 grand. I was down to like 97,000 or some change like that. You understand? So I understand you know, the reason why people may want to leave their money in a CD, but there's also things like annuity that's also safe out there that a lot of people, you know, are unfamiliar with, and they don't really, they don't really understand, and listen, let me share this because I love information and I love data, and when you hear this, you should understand there's a shift and there's a movement going on. And most people always miss the boat, right? In 2024, last year, okay, annuity sales was $432 billion. So that's $432 billion that got moved into an annuity. That's that's almost a half a trillion. So far, the first half of 2025, I've already broken the record for the first half of 2024. The first half of 2025 is $225 billion. So they are pacing to do well above $500 billion this year. These are signs. These are signs. A lot of people are understanding these annuities now. They're seeing the benefit of it. It's actually allowing more retirees to live well in retirement, because a lot of people didn't save a lot of money, to be honest with you. So when you have the bonus aspect of it, and you can save, and you can get extra money, like again, that example I just used, the guy deposited 500,000, and immediately he got 118,000 added to his $500,000. That helps a lot of retirees. You understand? If your annual expenses is not so high, let's say a retiree don't need no more than $4,000 a month or whatever, right? Yeah, $4,000 a month. That's $48,000 a year, right? That's about almost close to 2 years and 3 months, or 2 years and 3 months, or 2 years and 4 months worth of income extra that he just got now. He just extended income for a few more years, in his life, if he lives a long life. So listen, I wanted to kind of like go over that, with you guys today. And listen, again, if you guys are interested or you want more information about this, I can be reached again at 443-208-5480. That's 443-208-5480. Or again, you can email me at evolve@titanevolutiongroup.com, which I put in the chat, right? And I want to close out with just some numbers for you guys to kind of like put in your head, right? And I'm gonna close out with that. So scenario number one, right, is okay. You put 200 grand in a CD at 4.25, right? Let's say your tax rate is 24%. After taxes is 3.23. Okay. That first year interest, you probably would have made 6,460. Okay, and your taxes, okay, will be 4,000. After tax, what you've earned is 4,910. So you actually lost money. Okay. Now, scenario number two, you take that same 200,000 and you put it, and this is without a bonus. Okay, and you put it into an annuity at 5.50, tax deferred. That first year growth is $11,000, and this is compounding. So I try to tip I like to keep things simple. Okay, I think if it's simple, people can grab it. Okay, I don't like, some agents want to give you these fancy details and go through the whole historical data, and no, you understand? I like to keep it simple for people so they understand, hey, this is literally what I'm losing. So if we take two people, one person in a CD after taxes is really only getting $4,900 a year. So they deposit the same $200,000, while the other person is getting $11,000. You know, and more, because remember this is compounding now. So year one now, your $200,000 gains you $211,000. The following year, how much you will earn will be more because now your total value is $211,000, and you're getting compounded interest on that. So the person in the annuity is growing compared to the person in the CD. You understand? So again, listen. I thank you guys for joining me today. Again, I'm not a tax advisor, okay, but I want you to get with your tax advisor. But these are the historical data. These are what we've seen with clients. You know, I got clients for the past 10, 15 years or so that are in annuity. I actually have one right now who their annuity is about to mature in one more year, and then we're going to do another this year. We are having conversations like, hey, what you want to do with it? You know, pay your house off, because she's only, I think she's 69 now. So she's like, oh no, I'm gonna go ahead and redeposit. This is great. This is great. You understand? So yeah, so we've seen like the results of it and stuff like that, and a lot of clients are extremely, happy about the decisions, that they make. So I wanted to take a moment just to go over that because a lot of people are misinformed about this. I even had a young lady say, "Oh, I heard a CD was a bad investment." I'm like, compared to what? Where you getting information from? You understand? So a lot of people get bad information, bad intel. Most of the time, it's from people, and I hate to say this, it's from their neighbor. It's from people who are not even you know people who don't even have any product at all, and stuff like that. People who are afraid to make moves or whatever. So they they try to instill their fear in you and stuff like that. But a lot of people, based on the record numbers that we're seeing for annuities now, a lot of people are getting into the annuity because they've seen the benefit of it, especially, because a lot of people took a lot of losses in 2008, 2009. So the annuity actually allows them to recover some of those losses and stuff like that, and be able to retire and do the things that they need to do type of situation. So listen, again, thank you guys for coming on, and I'll talk to y'all soon.